So this is about the First Amendment. There's three parts to it. One, the government guarantees freedom of religion. And you also have free speech as well as the right to assemble. So freedom of religion allows people to practice their own religion or to choose not to have a religion. Basically, the government can't promote a religion or declare an official one. So for religion in public schools, which are government owned, you cannot have like a religion class. You can't be teaching religion to students, but you can be teaching them about the impact of that religion in like history or in modern times. And things like singing like Christmas music has become pretty secular over time, so that no longer counts as being really religious at all. Another thing to note is that religious centers can get federal funding, but the money has to go to some of the services they provide that aren't specifically about their religion. Like some churches may have a soup kitchen, or they might run a homeless shelter. And employers cannot discriminate based on religion, like what their religion agrees with or doesn't like. So religion should have no influence on hiring or promotions, and they are required to supply like reasonable accommodation. So like a space for employees to pray if they have to pray at a certain time of the day. So freedom of religion is restricted in that you can't use religion to justify discrimination. Like, even if your religion doesn't recognize gay marriage, you can't deny them, as long as they're legally married, you can't deny them any of the benefits that come with being married, like their government, employment, medical, or death benefits. And regardless of your religion, you can only marry one person. So this next part is about freedom of speech, which allows people to express themselves without being punished by the government. For the most part, you can say and wear what you want to. Although if you are a student, the school has a say in what you can and can't wear, and they can regulate any outfits in all activities provided by the school. One example of schools restricting what students could wear would be the court case Tinker versus Des Moines, which went all the way up to the Supreme Court in 1969. Students were wearing black armbands to protest the Vietnam War, and the school said that it would disrupt the learning and banned it. The Supreme Court agreed that banning armbands were within the rights of the school to do so, because they have the authority to maintain a learning environment that is productive. There are a lot of restrictions to free speech. Private companies don't have to care about censorship, really. They can take down anything they want. It's their platform, and they can really do whatever they want with it. Fighting words are not protected under free speech, and they're defined as words used to incite immediate violence. So like you can't threaten someone. Things can also be censored like statewide or nationwide under obscenity, which is pretty hard to define. For a piece of media to be considered obscene, it has to pass all the criteria of the Miller test, which basically means if it does pass, it has no redeeming qualities. It's just like gross and offensive for the purpose of being gross and offensive. Examples of books that have been commonly challenged or banned in some areas because of being considered obscene would be The Color Purple by Alice Walker, The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger, as well as Beloved by Toni Morrison. Free speech also includes freedom of the press. Freedom of the press just means that the government can't interfere with or regulate the news. Libel is not protected under the First Amendment. Libel is like a piece of published media that is for the purpose of trying to expose someone for doing something bad. It can't be proven, but it treats itself like it's complete fact. Next is freedom of assembly, which allows people to organize themselves without government interference. This includes peaceful protesting, but it also technically applies to like parties and family gatherings. I guess there are some restrictions to freedom of assembly. There are some situations where the government can step in and stop a protest. The government is not allowed to just stop a protest for being a protest. It has to be justified by witnessing something else happening, like there's violence, stealing, rioting, they're breaking curfew, or there are people resisting arrest. These justifications have been used to make mass arrests and shut down protests such as the Vietnam War protests, Bloody Sunday, the Greensboro sit-ins, and of course the Black Lives Matter protests. And that's the end.
No.